welcome back to Black Tech Queens. My name's Karimah Campbell, and today I'm going to be interviewing another amazing tech queen. So, for those of you who are new to Black Tech Queens, let me share our vision with you. It's all about inspiring each other and future talent, helping to achieve our aspirations, and recognizing and celebrating our achievements. But remember, don't let the name fool you. Not only Black Tech Queens are able to be involved, we want everybody involved. We really want to build out our community of allies too, because the more that we can build this community, the further we can get together. So let's build this community. Make sure that you share this video, subscribe to the channel, follow us on our Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn at Black Tech Queens, and go from there. So we're going to jump straight in, and I'm going to introduce to you this queen. She's got over 14 years of experience working in technology and is just doing great work to really make a positive impact to the world. So let me welcome to this show the amazing Melissa Ezechukwu. Welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
No
I can
worries.
really get used to being called a queen in my everyday life.
Well, you are one, so remember that.
Thank you.
You can update your LinkedIn to just be like Queen Melissa.
I think I should.
Yeah, so thanks for joining us today, Melissa. And let's just jump straight in. So tell me, who is Melissa?
Okay, cool. So my name's Melissa Ezechukwu, and I'm a digital strategist. And I basically have worked in the digital kind of tech sector now for over 14 years. And I've kind of done a bit of everything, really. I've worked a lot in the non-profit sector with charities. I've also worked, private sector, and I've worked agency side. And since 2020, I've been freelancing as well. So I've been doing some contracting, and I've been doing some basically working for myself, which has been kind of cool, but also a bit scary.
Yeah, I can imagine taking that leap from knowing you've got the steady income to having to find your own work, essentially. That must be quite hard.
Yeah. And like having to negotiate for yourself constantly as well. So, setting your own rates, that's definitely something I've had to, I still would say I'm not entirely comfortable with it, but, I've always seen asking for more money as a necessary evil, even though I hate doing it. So yeah, when you're kind of trying to sell yourself and you're kind of a one-woman band, only you can advocate for yourself. So it's really kind of working out what your value is and how to price that fairly. So yeah, that's been a learning curve.
Yeah. How do you go about doing that? Is it a case of like understanding what other people are charging and benchmarking yourself against that?
Yeah. Benchmarking, a lot of research is important. I just spoke to quite a few people in the sector. I also had a business coach, actually. I had a business coaching session, which really helped with kind of my confidence and learning how to price myself, but also learning what your offer is, like defining that. So, do you want to try and be all things to all men? Or are you going to kind of operate in very niche areas or kind of a smaller set of areas? I think women are kind of in particular we've got a habit of trying to please everyone and trying to do everything. And we think that will show that we're the best and we work the hardest. But actually what it can mean is that you end up over delivering. You end up trying to do too many things at once. And you lose some of that specialism and that ability to price yourself, higher alongside those specialist skills. So it's been kind of refining what my offer is, doing a lot of research around what the benchmark is, and particularly benchmarking for different sectors as well. And then it's just like it's just basically gradually getting more comfortable with asking for more. So it's a journey.
Cool. So as you've taken time to like refine what it is you're offering is, I still don't quite understand what a digital strategist is. So what does
That's
that mean?
fine. Nobody does. So so basically, as a digital strategist, the quick way I can sum it up is I help people to do stuff online better. So essentially, if you're building any or developing any sort of digital product or platform, say you're building a website, there's certain things that you're going to want to think through first to make sure that website is successful for you. So I help organizations and businesses to think through that stuff. So for example, you would need to think about actually why you need a website. What's the point of it? What's it going to do for your organization? And what's the messages that you want to communicate through it? You'd need to think about who's going to be using that website. Who are the core audiences for it? You would need to think about what it is you want them to do when they're on the website. So that's your kind of, what are the tangible, measurable actions or goals that you want people to complete when they're online. So that's the kind of the basics of your digital strategy, is the why, the how, the who, the what. And then we kind of go from there. So you look at things like, okay, well, what's your digital marketing strategy? How do you leverage some of these other digital channels to boost, to make your website work harder, basically? So how does your website or the platform that you're developing interlink maybe with social media, with apps, with email? So you're looking at that kind of ecosystem and how it all fits together, what you need to do, how you tailor your messages, how your audiences might change across these different platforms. And then you're thinking long term as well. So you're really planning your kind of digital roadmap in terms of what's the content strategy, how do we plan what content we want to be pushing out. So it encompasses lots of different things. It will pull in things like search engine optimization. So that's, what is the research? What are the tools? What do we need to do to boost our reach in search? Whether that's a website, whether that's content on social, whatever. It also kind of contains elements of UX, user experience. So I do kind of a lot of workshopping with clients where I might help them develop a sitemap. And that's kind of looking at what content needs to be on your website and how you structure that content so that the navigation is really intuitive, performs well in search, people can find what they're looking for and kind of really do some of those top tasks that you want them to do. So yeah, it's kind of basically it's taking a long-term strategic approach to the things that you're doing online, rather than kind of tactical or like knee-jerk reactions. So rather than, oh, we need like a Facebook page and like let's just start pushing out Facebook content on Facebook. The digital strategist would say, okay, do you need a Facebook page? Is that the best social media platform for your particular audience or service? And how do we use that platform to our advantage? Whether that's, do we need to do ads? What sort of content? How should we be structuring that content? Because obviously we know that content differs across different social media channels as well. Twitter is about brevity. Facebook is kind of a bit more story led. So yeah, that's kind of so that was a long version. That's what I help people do.
It sounds very varied, and I love the fact that it sounds like you really get to know the customer and essentially have like a long relationship with them because you're taking them through their journey.
Yeah, you can do, like, particularly if you are working on a kind of, some projects can be quite long. Website development projects, for example, can take a fair few months. And I find what is kind of most rewarding is when you get those kind of breakthrough moments with clients. So a lot of what I try and do is challenge. So I try and get people to step outside of, their internal perspective and their internal needs. So if you're building any sort of digital product, it's actually not about you. Like, it's about the people that you intend to use, that you're building this product for, that you intend to use it. And you know, it's great to have internal requirements, and obviously you need to make sure that those are met and you're keeping your internal stakeholders happy. But ultimately, none of that matters if the product that you build isn't used by users. So it's kind of getting people to approach their projects in a more user-centered way. So really putting themselves in the shoes of their audiences and thinking about what serves them best. And it's that marrying of kind of internal goals with external goals. There's things that you're going to want that platform to do for you or that product to do for you, but it also needs to align or at least marry with what you want your external users to do.
Oh, cool. No, that sounds amazing. I'm really intrigued about how you got there though, because I know you studied was it sociology and gender at university. So how did that relate into technology?
Yes, good question. So I did sociology and gender studies at university because I just really liked sociology, to be honest, and I really loved kind of I loved the feminism side of the course as well, and I felt like that was a real eye opener. But yeah, I mean, it's probably, I mean, I was quite lucky in that I went to university before tuition fees like skyrocketed. If I was going to go back again today, I don't know if I'd do sociology because everyone was telling me that I would never get a job from it. But I proved them wrong. But no, I really loved that course. And actually what I wanted to be when I was at university was I wanted to go into journalism. I really liked writing. And I did kind of a little bit of writing for the university newspaper, and I did a kind of little bit of work experience at my local town's newspaper as well, while I was at university. And then when I graduated, I kind of got a short, sharp shock in terms of how people from kind of poorer backgrounds are priced out of these industries. Because actually when I left university and I was like, right, I'm going to go into I'm going to really pursue this, and all of the you needed to do internships, and all of these internships were they were all unpaid. and that has changed. I think it's illegal now to do to run unpaid internships, at least in certain circumstances. But back then you didn't have to pay. And I was just, I'd spent like 3 years living in my overdraft, eating like porridge and pasta and having no money. And I just thought, I can't afford actually to work for months on end without earning any money. I wouldn't have even been afford to kind of pay my travel, been able to afford to pay my travel. So I kind of sort of set that aside, and I thought, okay, well, what are some other ways that I could maybe get into writing, maybe slip in through the back door? And I saw this role going at a charity. It was a charity that kind of is like an outdoorsy, like looks after the waterways, and they were advertising for a staff writer for their website. And while I was at university, I actually helped publish a book of short stories, and I had a couple of my short stories in there as part of some coursework. And the university had their own printing press, so it's a proper published book. And I just took that along to the interview, along with some kind of cutouts like from my uni newspaper, and I got the job, thankfully, even though I did not know, I'd never updated a website or anything before. And actually that was staff writer, but that very quickly became like assistant web content editor, because actually I wasn't just writing, I was uploading content onto the website. I was making it look good, making sure it had appropriate images, making sure it read well. And then I was helping get them set up on social media. So I got their first Facebook and Twitter accounts, probably long defunct now, but that's how I'm showing my age there, because that was like not long after Twitter had launched. So, and I was kind of doing their email newsletters and all that sort of stuff. And so I was there for a few years, and I just was realized that I kind of liked that stuff and I was quite good at it. And so it just snowballed from there, really. I just went on to kind of get a digital comms officer job, and I got promoted to digital communications manager, and I was managing the digital team at a children's charity, helped redevelop their website and, managed all their online content and things like that and their social media. And then I kind of, just sort of, it just went from there, really. And I ended up taking a job with an agency, which was more of a strategist job. And that kind of moved me more out of the implementation, so the actual like doing all the web content and uploading and building the sites, to actually advising people on how to do it well. And then that just grew into the self-employment, really.
Is there any like skills that you realize that you were able to pull from your uni studying throughout all of these different jobs that you've had? Obviously the writing element has been a big part. Anything else?
What, from university? What elements I could pull from university?
I guess from university, and also from your first couple of jobs as the copy editor, the copywriter.
Yeah. So university, definitely being able to write well, and construct, I guess, convince people, being able to construct arguments. And evidencing your, a lot of sociology is really about theories, but also evidencing those theories. And when you're telling someone how to do something online, particularly if they're not from that world, if digital isn't the thing that they work in, you have to, if you want to persuade them, you have to present them with some sort of evidence. So if I'm telling you that actually you probably shouldn't set up your homepage like that, and here's why, they might require some sort of evidence as to why that design or that UX isn't appropriate, or maybe some analytics that say that, well, actually no one's visiting these pages, this is why you should retire them. So I guess learning to evidence and convince people, bring people around to your approach. And then I think just, if you're gonna kind of be a consultant and you're gonna try and teach people strategy, you have to, I think, keep your hand in. Like, you have to know what you're talking about, and the best way to know what you're talking about is to do it yourself. And so all of my roles that have led up to this, particularly the early roles where I was kind of getting stuck in and using content management systems, learning how to build web pages, learning how to structure them, learning how to write web content, because that is different to writing other types of content. All of that stuff, like, search engine optimization and knowing what that's about, you learn by doing, and then you're able to teach people. And so, it's all kind of added into the mix, really. And I still do that stuff now. I do it for myself, both personally on my own website, and I still take on work where I am doing more of the implementation, because I think it's good to at least, keep those skills up and know what you're talking about.
I think with technology, it changes so quickly. So it is really important to keep your hand in there, definitely. And I must say, I do love your website. It really, really highlights the fact, like, the work that you've done and the different projects you've worked on.
Thank you.
Yeah, no worries. And for those of you listening, you can check out Melissa's website in the bio as well. I'll put a link to that in the bio.
Thanks very much.
No worries. So I know gender and social studies was a big part and a big passion for you. Also, a big passion for you is just really doing a positive impact for the world as a whole. So you do your mentoring, and you've also recently joined the steering committee for TLA Black Women in Tech. Do you want to tell us about all of these kind of work that you're doing?
Sure, yeah. So, there's a bit of an echo. I don't know if that's me. Oh no, I think it stopped. I sort of feel like, I've had my fair share of challenges throughout my career so far. And I've really benefited in some circumstances from having people around me, particularly women around me, really experienced women that have been able to mentor me through those times. And I think, what I found quite challenging at times was that often there weren't really people around me that looked like me. And that can be quite intimidating sometimes. I think, imposter syndrome is a very real thing. And I think it's actually quite a logical response, really, to the fact that, a lot of the time you're dealing with environments where actually those environments were not really set up for you, and you're having to shoehorn your way in. So I don't think it's a surprise that a lot of women, particularly women of color, have imposter syndrome, because these sectors, like, we're forcing our way in, they're often not always that welcoming to us. So I really benefited from mentoring coming up, and I've got to the stage in my career now where I thought I would like to try and give something back, really. And so, yeah, I do a bit of mentoring, just like informal mentoring as well, with women that reach out to me and ask me about, tech and how to get into tech and things like that. And I also do, a couple of times now, I've done some mentoring with schoolgirls on the London Eye as part of the Women of the World Festival, which is so cool. And so these girls, I mean, they're like 16 years old and they're so savvy. I just think if I had it's always they're intimidatingly like switched on. They just, they kind of, they're so ambitious, and they just need that bit more confidence. They just need someone to kind of give them that push, really. But they're so intelligent, they're so kind of ambitious, they're so switched on, and they want to get into these tech sectors. They want to be kind of doing more in tech. And I think that I really want to help improve that representation there, particularly among Black women and women of color, because I think that the things that, the way that the world is moving, the things that the technology sector is producing, it is actually shaping our world. And so we need to be part of that, of those discussions that are happening, because otherwise it's going to create things that don't work for us. And we see that already with things like facial recognition technology. Is just one area where, we know that lets down people of color, particularly people with who are dark skinned. Dark skinned faces are routinely, not misrecognized through facial recognition technology. And so we need more people to go into those areas and shape those discussions and make sure that the technology that's being created is inclusive and works for everyone. And so, so the mentoring is one way. And then also I joined the committee for the TLA Black Women in Tech steering group, which is really, they've got some, we've got some really ambitious, cool goals for this year that are going to really help get a lot more women, moving up their careers in technology and getting more women into the sector. So I'm really excited about that.
Oh, fantastic. I must say, I really love even the Slack channel for TLA Black Women in Tech. Just having that community there, sharing our wins, opportunities, really nice place.
Yeah, it's a really welcoming space. You don't ever feel like any question that you're asking is, stupid or anything like that. It's just, you can share your wins, you can share your opportunities. I would encourage anyone that is looking to get into tech or if they're looking to get into tech or they're already working in tech, it's a great space. So I know women that are on there that work in different disciplines like marketing, but they they're interested in entering the tech sector because it is such a growing, it's yeah, it's a brilliant sector to be in, ever changing, ever growing. And there are so many roles that you can go into. I think a lot of people get put off thinking that they need to know how to code. They need to be like really techie, like not at all. There are so many different disciplines. My coding skills are rubbish. Like I can do, it doesn't, and there's people running like, the CEOs of startups that don't know the first thing about coding or the actual techie side of things. You don't need to be a tech head to get into the sector. There's so many different ways you can get in.
Yeah, I was with my nephew over the weekend, and he's in year 6, and he's doing coding, and he was asking me something, and honestly, I said to him, "Look, I haven't done coding since I left uni, so don't ask me any questions. It's been a while." But
Yeah.
it's just nice to see that they're doing it at a younger stage now. But also, as you said, you don't need to be able to code to get into technology. There's so many people working in tech who don't even realize they're working in tech.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And the thing is as well, the sector changes so quickly that there are jobs that exist today that didn't even exist like 2 or 3 years ago. So the job that, there might be a job in 5 years' time that you can't even envisage today would exist. So yeah, that's the beauty of it. There's always some new opportunities that you can grab.
Cool. So we've touched on like your passion for giving back and paying it forward. But what other passions do you have? And this doesn't have to be related to like your day job. It could just be a passion in general.
Oh God, this is when I'm going to reveal like what a boring person I am. What else do I like doing? I'm trying actually to get back into sketching. I used to be really, really into art when I was kind of, well, sort of sixth form uni days. I used to do a lot of drawing and a lot of painting. And yeah, I'm trying to reconnect with that kind of creative side of myself and schedule a little bit of time, even if it's just 10 minutes a day, to just sketch something. Because it's really hard. It's like writing is the same, writing for pleasure. I used to do a lot of that as well. And I'm trying to get back into that because you get so disheartened because you sit down and it takes you half an hour to write one sentence and then it looks like you've written it with your foot. And you're just like, oh, okay, I can't write anymore. I can't draw anymore. But all of these things, it's like a muscle. You've got exercise them. You've got to keep doing it to get better. So that's what I'm trying to focus on. Yeah, get back into being a bit more creative, doing some drawing, doing some more fictional writing. I also play a lot of video games. So I like me and my husband are both really into like we've got a PlayStation and we love playing video games. So yeah, I love that. I'm going to make myself sound like a massive geek now. But I love things like The Sims, particularly when we were in lockdown, because it was like living vicariously through those little pixels. It's like they can go out and go like to the club and go swimming and stuff.
I was literally talking to my friend about this because I haven't played The Sims since I had it on my PC. And she still plays it now, and I didn't even know it was still around now. So
oh yeah, it's still around, and it's funny. I have an on-off relationship with it. Sometimes I'll play it and I'll get absolutely hooked for like 3 months, and then I'll put it down and I won't touch it for a year, which is for the best because it steals your life. You'll be like, oh, I'll sit down and play it for an hour. Wrong. You can't play Sims for an hour. You look at the clock and it's like, oh, I've been here 4 hours.
Into the metaverse there, you're already doing it in The Sims.
Yeah. So video games, and then also like I do like I like kind of exercising. I do like a bit of kickboxing, reading. I'm quite a homebody, really. I like kind of being on my comfortable big sofa, I've got my like slipper booties on, and just settling down with like a nice movie on Netflix or whatever, or those are my like things that I love doing.
That sounds perfect. And it's really important, obviously, with the busy lives that we all live, just enjoy the peace and quiet, enjoy your time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool, perfect. All right, so I've got a couple of questions from the Black Tech Queens community that I'm going to fire your way. So the first one is, what excites you most about your job?
What excites me most about my job? I think it is probably at the very beginning, actually, when you get a problem. And because it always starts with a problem. It always starts with someone coming to you and saying, here is the problem that we're trying to solve and we need help with it. Here's what we're trying to achieve and we don't know how to get there. And I really enjoy that part of like sitting down, doing that, like thinking, and kind of doing that research, I guess, and thinking about how you can solve that problem, basically. That's probably my favorite part, which wasn't that technically your question. I guess the exciting part would be workshopping. Actually, you get quite an adrenaline buzz from workshopping. I used to do a lot of in-person workshops, and obviously now a lot of that stuff's moved online. But you get this real kind of, yeah, I mean, you're effectively presenting for quite a few hours, and you're trying to keep people motivated, and you're trying to tease conversation out of them and get them to collaborate. But actually that's quite exciting, and particularly when they feed back at the end that they really enjoyed themselves as well, like that's a really great feeling. And also just the relief, because you feel like you've been on display for however many hours, and then when everyone logs off or when everyone walks out the room, you just breathe. You're like, oh, yeah, now let me go play Sims.
And then you do a workshop in your Sims. I guess expanding on that then, what challenges you the most about your job?
Challenges. I mean, I'd probably say when you have when you're faced with like really negative attitudes, or that sort of like computer says no attitude, can be really difficult, because I think that it's okay to have a difficult problem to solve, as long as you're willing and as long as you want to solve it. I think there's nothing worse than trying to go into a project with someone who's just like, well, we're never going to be able to fix that, or that can't be done, or we tried it and it didn't work. That can be really frustrating. So I think, if you're not working with kind of sort of like solutions focused attitudes, like that's probably the most challenging thing.
Cool.
And also just getting paid on time. which is just a common admin problem, is trying to chase down payment.
I can imagine a lot of your job must be doing that, to be honest.
Yeah, a bit more than I'd like.
One day it will be very seamless.
Yeah,
I hope that will happen soon.
Yeah, I won't hold my breath. But
No, cool. So the next one is, if you weren't doing this job, what would you be doing?
Well, in a dream alternative universe, I would be either a novelist, kind of sitting in my mansion getting fed chocolates as I tap out chapters to my latest bestseller, or I'd be a fashion designer. When I was younger, I was going to say when I was younger, I really wanted to be a fashion designer. I used to just draw, sketch a lot of designs when I was a kid, and that was like my big thing that I wanted to do. And then as I got a bit older, I got a bit more practical, and I was like, journalism, writing. But probably, in a alternate universe, I'd be a fashion designer. But I think that probably the ultimate dream job that I'd love to pursue when I no longer want to do the digital strategy is I would love to work with orangutans.
Okay, why? Doing how?
I just absolutely love them. I'd love to go and work in an orangutan sanctuary. I just think they're such amazing creatures, and they're really endangered, and it's really heartbreaking when you hear about these orangutans, they lose their sanctuaries because of the palm oil industry. They lose their, not sanctuaries, they lose their habitats, and they have to go into sanctuaries, and they have to basically learn how to be an orangutan. So you have to teach them how to be scared of things like snakes, because a lot of the time they're orphans. So all that stuff they would have learned from their mother, they can't. So that's like the dream. One day I think I'd love to go live in Borneo and work with orangutans. But yeah, that's not for now.
Wow. All right, I've got so many questions. So the first one, going back to your your clothing design, have you ever created any of your sketches?
No, no, you know what? When I was really little, I used to sew little clothes for my dolls.
Yeah.
But that's, and when I was at school, I used to do like design and technology. I used to do like textiles as one of my lessons. So I remember like making bags and cushions and stuff like that. And I think there's a couple of times when I was a teenager where I got like clothes. Like I remember getting a denim skirt that I like reworked and like adapted and sewed some bits and pieces on. But no, I've never pursued it past that, unfortunately.
Well, I hope to see one of your creations one day. When you're in your mansion, whilst you put down your book for a while, you might just create an outfit.
Sure. Maybe even some outfits for the orangutans.
There you go. So my next one was about the orangutans. Have you ever met one? Have you ever, met one?
I haven't. I mean, that is like definitely on the list to go to Borneo. Obviously travel has been quite difficult in the past couple of years, but yeah, that's definitely on the list. I'd love to go and kind of see them in person. But I just love them, just from like watching like them on TV and watching these programs about them. And yeah, I just I'm in love with them. They're so cute.
No, cool. That is such a different extreme from your day job to doing that. It's amazing. I love
it. Yeah. I mean, I think like I derive a lot of enjoyment from I guess feeling like I guess being able to get hands-on with things and feeling like that you're producing something. I think kind of we've all had jobs probably where we've been sat, we spend a lot of time sat in meetings or firing off what and you just feel like, what am I producing? That, like, how am I impacting? That's it. I think for me, it's about impact. It's, what am I putting out into the world? That's what I get fulfillment from. And so I think anything where you can help someone or help an animal or, produce something that people get enjoyment from, that would really make me happy to be part of something like that.
Oh, cool. I love that. All right. And so the next one from the community is, what has been your biggest achievement today?
Biggest achievement to date? Probably, I mean, a few years ago, I spoke on International Women's Day for an organisation called She Says Brighton. And I spoke in front of about 300 people, which is the most people I've ever spoken in front of. And that probably is one of my biggest achievements. I really enjoyed myself. It just felt like a real kind of pat on the back moment. But I'd probably say, if I'm thinking like more recently, it would probably be the first invoice that got paid, like the first money that I earned from just a job that I went out and sourced myself as a self-employed person. I think like that's when it felt real. And I was like, yeah, actually you can do this. So yeah, probably that.
Great job with that.
Thank you.
There's so many more invoices coming your way.
Yes, he's hoping.
All right, so tell me, what's next for you, Melissa?
What's next? Well, I think it's just continuing to grow my business really, and focus on trying to find more clients, do more great work. I think that it's working with the TLA Black Women in Tech Committee to get several big things launched. It's no secret that we're working at the moment on trying to launch a mentoring program for our members. So that's definitely one of my big goals for this year, is to get that up and running. And I also, a big thing is to just make sure I leave the UK this year. Specifically I really want to go see my mum. She lives in Barbados, and I haven't seen her now since 2018. So where next is hopefully on a flight out of this country to somewhere warm.
Sorry, I've got the ambulance driving past. I'm more than happy to come with you. So
she's got spare room, yeah, sure.
Perfect. No, I just want to say a huge thank you for being on the show today.
Thank you so much for having me, and thank you to your community for their questions as well.
No worries at all. Before we do lose you, I do have to ask you one question that I ask every woman who comes on this show. What advice would you give to someone who's either trying to further their career in tech or break into the tech industry?
I think the key is always meeting people, so broadening your network. So getting out, meeting people. Well, you don't even have to get out anymore. Join Slack channels about tech and digital. There's some really great forums out there, as well as TLA Black Women in Tech. There's an online forum called Ada's List. There's another Slack channel called Developer. I would say, there's another one called Tech London, which is a really, really big Slack channel. So kind of get out, start networking with people, not in a kind of really forced way, but in a just go into it with the attitude of, I actually am just interested in learning more about you and learning about what you do, how you got there. And just, grab 30 minutes with someone to have a virtual coffee with them online and get to know them and find out more about the sector that you want to join, more about what's involved, what steps you could take to break in or advance. But definitely the power is in your network and kind of just meeting people, so that, you're kind of in your forefront in their mind, really. I guess if stuff comes up, they know to kind of, or they might think, oh, actually, I spoke to Karimah the other day, she might be good for this. But also just to genuinely, because it's good to learn about the sector and about what other people do and their journeys. There's so many different routes in, and it can be really inspiring to hear how people got into the sector themselves. So that would probably be my number one goal. And then also, if you know how you want to get in or how you want to advance, I mean, there's so much free learning out there. I think the beauty of this sector is that there aren't really sort of university courses that you can do for it. I mean, even coding, you can teach yourself. If you've got the commitment and the discipline, there's free resources out there where you can teach yourself. So, take advantage of all of that free content online and all of these good people out there that are just willing to share their knowledge for nothing. So yeah, that would definitely, those would be my top tips, I'd say. And if you can, get yourself a mentor.
Absolutely. I think a mentor is really an important thing to have. They help you to think in a new way and also guide you. And
yeah, absolutely.
Oh, cool. Well, thank you so much, Melissa. And it is really a shame that we have to leave here, but I know I could keep you on here for hours, and I think you've got other stuff within your day.
I could stay on for hours myself as well, but I don't know if I'll have much voice left by the end.
We've got to get the work doing. We've got invoices people need to pay you. So
exactly.
But if for everyone to keep up to date with everything that Melissa's doing, check out the links in the bio. We've got a link to her Twitter, website and LinkedIn there. And also remember to follow Black Tech Queens on your Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn. And subscribe to this channel, like the video, keep up to date with all of the amazing interviews we're having. And also rewatch some of the previous ones as well, because there's really some true gems that you can really catch there and really help to develop yourself. But most importantly, let's remember to always inspire, aspire, and achieve. Thank you so much, everyone.